So I'm Aakash. I'm myself a founder. I'm working on my own startup right now. So this is something that I quite experienced in my last startup, where the idea was that we will, build a Loom-like extension, and using that extension, we had our own React app, let's say, and that app basically creates branded videos. So in my last talk, probably Kiran would know, I basically presented how you can create your own custom branded videos, which means custom branded videos as in you will have your own canvas, you will have your own brand design, and on top of that you can present your own screen and actually record the entire canvas. So if we are, let's say, doing this talk for O slash, we can give O slash branding in the background, and then on top of that share our screen and get the entire recording. So we can basically get and create branded videos. So there I got to learn how to build, your own Chrome extensions. But if you go the vanilla way, the main problem is again what Akash also told about, that you cannot basically reuse the components, right? So it gets really tough to create extensions with plain JavaScript. So my idea and the problem was same, that how do I bring React to the context and use the powers of React, like states and context stores, all of those things, and create an extension using React. So that is what we are going to learn here. So before moving ahead, I would really want to ask you, like, how many of you have like basic idea of React, like very basic? Okay, cool. And how many of you have previously worked on any sort of extensions? I mean, heads up to you. Right. Cool. So there are two ways of me teaching. I wanted this to be, a kind of an interaction where you really get to take something home. So there are two ways of doing this. One is where I just show my code, right? And I just explain you what that code is actually doing. And the second one is I basically create a new project and, you know, uh, create a live extension in front of you. Though I only have half an hour, so we have a time constraint. So if we do the second approach, we might not be able to complete the entire extension. But if we do the first approach, we will be able to, I'll be at least able to tell you the entire process of what's going on. So it's up to you guys, like which approach we want to go. Anyone?
The approach will complete fully.
Sure. Okay. So in that case, I'd just show my code and I'll just explain you what all it's doing, right? Okay. So extension, most of us know, most of us have used it. So it's basically, you can consider it as a utility for your browser, and it has access to all of your tabs, all the actions you're doing on your browser. And you can basically consume all your browser APIs using an extension and make out a similar utility for your users, right? Now, how does this differ? So most of you would have seen, whenever you build your React application, it basically generates a folder which have HTML, CSS, and there is also one manifest file which you can add. So if you go to your React app, I'll just show it to you. There is this public, how do I share this? Cool.
Zoom it in.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I'll just zoom it. So you will see that in our React app, simple React app, we have this public folder here, and the public folder contains a manifest file. So ideally this manifest file will contain the link to your favicons and other stuff, which basically used by your web app to display the icon in the tab header and things like that. So there is only one difference on how your browser treats a particular web app as an extension versus as an actual website, is that here you basically define this manifest and you basically give it a manifest version, and using this context whatever is provided by Google Chrome, we will just put that manifest, and your browser, your Google Chrome browser, will automatically consider this app or consider this set of HTML, CSS and JavaScript code as a Chrome extension. Now all we need to do is, when we basically build, so if I go to the build and I will see that the same manifest is there. It's just minified. So the same manifest is there. And with this manifest, now our browser will know that I have to treat this chunks of file as a browser extension and not as a web app. Cool. So we will now first see how exactly a Chrome extension works. So there is something called as message passing API, which I'll talk about later. But all in all, the idea is that extension has something called as content scripts and something called as background scripts. So you can consider, so from manifest version, there were two versions of manifest which Chrome supports. One is 2 and one is 3. 3 works on service workers, while 2 is a simple globally shared background script. So the idea of this background script is to manage everything. You can consider me as the background script, and you can consider you as any client or any particular web page that is trying to load that extension, right? So we have at one place we have our background service file, background JavaScript file, and on the other hand we have the content script file, which will load the extension and do stuff there. And how do we basically talk to each other? I'll say ki, okay, this particular tab, try to do something, try to click somewhere or whatever, right? Then I will send some message to you. You'll listen to that message, and then again you will reply, okay, this message is done. So that is exactly the main idea of Chrome extension is. So what we will do is, whenever our Chrome extension is installed on a browser, we will just install that content script to each tab that is already existing, and it's Chrome's job to automatically insert that script to all the new tabs that we create from then on. Cool. So I'll just show you how we can create, we can set up our extension in React. So all I did till this point, let's assume all I did till now is creating a simple React app, right? And after creating that app, I just changed this manifest to this. So if you look closely here, I just give my extension a name, a description, the manifest version it's using, the version that I want to publish it to, and these are other couple of things which I'll discuss later in the session, right? So using this manifest file, my browser will know that this application is a Chrome extension. So this is like what I have changed, and if you'll go and just do this, so basically to load your extension in your browser, all you need to do is, let me just go to Chrome. So you can go to Chrome extensions, and here you will see this developer mode in the right. I don't know if you guys can see it. Yeah. So you can just enable this developer mode, and once you do that, you will see these 3 buttons in the bottom. So here you will have this option to load unpack. So when you click this, all you need to do is, so when you click on load unpacked, you just need to import or upload that build folder which is generated by your React app, and that's it. Using that manifest file, now your browser will install that as an extension to your browser. So let me just do that for you. I'll just remove this and I'll do that again. So I did load and then I went to my documents. Sorry. Sorry. You basically have to select the build folder. It's just clicking twice. Yeah. So whenever you basically put that build folder or upload that build folder, it will automatically install your application as an extension. Now, once your browser knows that, okay, this is going to be the extension file, there are a couple of problems here. One problem is whenever you basically build your app, your React app, what it does is it basically puts some code as inline JavaScript code directly into your HTML page, which is not supported in Chrome extensions. So to remove that, you can go to your package.json file, and all you need to do is in your build script, you have to set that as inline runtime chunk as false. So I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Just, yeah. So all you need to do is you can just set that this inline runtime chunk as false, and this way your React app, when it builds, it won't basically generate that inline JavaScript. Instead, it will keep it as a separate file, which is exactly what we want. Now there is another problem also. If you would have looked at React's build more closely, React only generates one JavaScript file. But here in our extension, we want two JavaScript files. One is for the background JavaScript and one is the injected script that we want to use. So to do that, there are multiple ways you can do. You've all heard of webpack config, right? So to get your webpack config, you can do npm run eject and it will generate a webpack config for you, which you can modify. Or you can use other JavaScript builders, like I am using Krakow here. So if you go, I've installed Krakow here and I'll just show you. So here you'll see I have write two files here in my entry. One is content and one is background, which is pointing to my, so this content file is pointing to my main app code, which I'll be injecting to each tab in my browser. And the background file is the background file, which will be handling everything from the top, right? So if I do this now, let me just run build for you. Right. So now if you'll go to build, go to static and JS, now you'll see it has generated two files. One is your content JS and one is your background JS. So this solves our problem of creating two files out of our build, right? Now there is another problem. So how many of you folks have heard of shadow root, shadow DOM, right? So basically when you want to have a separate context from your main app, so what we want here is, let's say you created some styles in your extension, we want to decouple them from the main app. Since we are going to inject our script into the current tab, let's say that particular app is using some class name called hello, right? And we in our extension also used hello, so there will be conflict of classes, and my styles, like extension styles, are going to apply to that or vice versa. So we want to basically decouple that from our main extension ka code, right? So basically what will happen now is, every time you generate your build, you can go to the CSS folder and you can see it basically generates some random string, right? Main and some random string will be there. So it changes every time. So every time I generate a new build, this string is going to change. And in your Chrome extension manifest file, if I'll just go, yeah. So you have something called as web accessible resources, which means these are the resources that your extension will share as a file to that particular page which is trying to load the extension. Otherwise, so what we want to do here is we want to load that particular style CSS file into our extension. So to load that into our extension, we basically want that particular website to load our extension file, right? But now here the problem is that every time our build is getting generated, every time I do yarn build or npm build, I basically have to go to this manifest file and go to this web accessible resources and write the path to my css file here. So this is like a small hack which I did. So I created this simple script file, and what this basically does is it basically goes to that manifest file, go to that parse that as a JSON, takes that web accessible resources key, and when my build is generated, when my build is completed, I run a post build script. You guys know what post build script are, right? So that will run after your build is completed. So in that I basically passed this script, and automatically it's going to take that CSS new generated CSS file and change that string in my path in my manifest. So this way I don't have to manually do the write the path of the CSS file every time I generate a new build, right? Now let's, cool. So we are here, we have set up a basic Chrome extension now, where we basically now know that every time our CSS or our style file is generated, we now are able to specify in our web accessible resources. So whenever any website is trying to load our extension, it also have the file to style our extension accordingly, right? Now we'll talk about message passing API. So Chrome basically introduced this message passing API through which you can basically talk between your background script and the script which is running on the client on that particular web page. So the idea here is, let's say I want that whenever some user clicks on the icon extension, I want to load a pop-up, which is exactly what Loom does, right? So in that case, what my content script will do, content script will say कि my background script will know कि that the icon is clicked over there, right? So it will send a message to the content script saying that the icon is being clicked, and my content script will listen to that message and will try to load that pop-up because the icon is clicked. So that is exactly it is very similar to how you write node, right? So you just have to basically tell to send a particular message with a particular payload, and then that end will receive that, and you can have a switch case or whatever to render different cases of each message, and for each particular case you can run your own handler function to basically do whatever you want, right? And you can do vice versa. So my content script also can send some message to the background script and ask it to do some stuff, right? Cool. So let's get a basic architecture or of what we want to do here. We want that the user will go and click on the extension. It will load a particular pop-up that will have some sort of CTA to start our recording, and it will basically record our entire screen. That is the idea here, right? So let me first try to show you how it looks in action. So see, when I clicked my extension, it automatically loaded that pop-up right there, and it also loaded a Loom like DOM here, which is my media stream, right? And now when I basically go and click on start recording, it basically asks me to share my entire screen or window or whatever, and I can start my screen recording now. So I can do blah blah blah, and then when I'll go scroll down, and then when I stop my screen recording, I have the generated video. So this is, I think, yeah. So you guys can see that this generated a video of me doing that exact recording. So this is the idea of this, creating this extension we want to build, that whenever the user clicks on that button on the pop-up, it basically start recording my entire screen and convert that to a blob and further convert it to a video and show that video to us. So this is what we will be building. So I'll just go to code again. So let's divide this to few steps. Our first idea is to get that pop-up whenever that icon is clicked, right? So I'll just show you that part. Okay. So before talking about that, there are two ways of opening an extension. So there is something called as action key in your manifest file, this one. So here you can basically define the path of the file which should run right after user clicks on the extension, or whenever your extension is installed in a particular script. So there are two ways. So one is when you basically define that file path. In that case, it will inject that particular file to every tab that is going to load that extension. The other way is you just define the action and you just define the title, and then you have your own handler in your background script file which will manually inject that file to that particular tab. That's what we want to do here, because we don't want this pop-up to show up every time we open a new tab, right? We only want to show this pop-up only when that particular icon is clicked. So I'll just go to my background, sorry. So this is basically an event which fires whenever your extension is installed on any particular browser. So here the idea of running this function is, you've seen all the extension, how they work is, whenever you install the extension, for every new tab or every new website that you go, it will load the scripts automatically there. But for all the previous scripts, or all the previous tabs or websites which are there, it won't inject that content script to those. So here the idea is we are running this handler and we are yeah.
Question regarding the developer experience. Is there something similar to like the React or
Right.
is there a similar experience for Chrome?
So Chrome extension, it's limited on Chrome. So you can, the only thing you can do is the one which I have done, that creating a post build script which automatically injects your newly created CSS every time in your manifest file. Other than that, every time you basically build or make any changes to your file, you can also create a VS Code script which automatically generates the build on every save. That is you can do. But apart from that, on your Chrome browser, you actually have to go and reload the extension every time you make any changes. So that is the part where they, Chrome has to implement. So there is nothing we can do about it, I think.
Already solved that problem.
Okay.
After the talk, I can explain.
Sure. So the idea of this function over here is to basically take all the previous websites which are, or all the previous tabs that are opened, and inject our script to those particular pages. So here it basically takes all the windows of your Chrome, and for each of those windows it will take that window ID and try to get all the tabs in that particular window, and then for each tab it will basically inject our script. And if I go to this inject script function, it basically takes all the scripts from my manifest file, and you have, so all these APIs which I am using here are all listed on Chrome docs, so you can go and check them out later. So Chrome API has this Chrome extension has this API execute script, which will execute any particular script. So it will execute any particular script onto that particular tab, right? So here I am just executing that script to my particular targeted tab. So this is what it's doing, and I am also inserting my CSS file to that particular tab also. So that can also be done. So up till this point, what we have achieved is whenever our Chrome extension is installed, it has taken all the tabs which were already there, and it has injected all the content script to each of those tabs, and it has also injected all the styles to each of those tabs, so that whenever our extension load, it has all the necessary files to open that pop-up. Yeah. Now this chrome.action is the same action which was listed in our manifest file. In our manifest file, we have the key called action, right? So here we are doing the same. We are saying ki whenever that action is clicked, so whenever our our extension icon is clicked on that, we have to basically listen, and whenever that happens, we are sending a message to that particular tab that the icon is clicked. So here, if you'll go and see this function, we are doing chrome.tabs.send message, and then we are passing in the tab ID. So it will have the access that on what was the active tab when you basically clicked on that particular extension. And using that tab ID, we are basically passing this message to that particular tab, right? Now all of the tabs which were there already have our content script, right? So they will know what to do with this particular message, right? So it will listen to that message, and it will basically know ki, okay, icon is clicked now I basically have to load the pop-up. So if I go back again to my main content script file, yeah, so I have a use effect here, and on my use effect I have on message listener. So this on message listener, what it will do is it will listen to all the messages that are coming to this particular tab, right? And it will run a message handler on this, which is nothing but a switch case function, which looks for all kinds of messages that are coming, and based on what type of message it is or what message it is, it will basically run some function. So if I go to this message handler, yeah, you will see that one of the case here is when message type is icon clicked. So in that case, what we are doing is, if recording is already going on, that we want to stop the recording. So this is basically an accessibility thing, that whenever you are recording, you can click the icon again to stop the recording. And otherwise, if recording is not there, you basically have to show the pop-up, right? And the other function is start stream, which basically will try to get your camera stream and load that particular camera div that we rendered, right? Cool. So up until this point, what we have done is we have basically loaded all the CSS files, loaded all the JavaScript file to all the tabs which were there. Then we calculated a function. We calculated an icon clicked function that basically sent a message to our content script to basically tell it to load the pop-up, and our content script basically listened to that message and loaded that pop-up, and then again use this function to basically render the stream, right? Cool. So now the next step is whenever our button on the pop-up is clicked, we again want to, you know, create a, we want to ask user for the screen permission, and then we want to start capturing the stream, right? So if you'll go and see here, I have this button here, and this button have this handle record listener. So again, what this will do is it will create, here it's creating a message, and the message type is to get the stream, and it's sending. I've told that it can happen both the ways. Okay, so the background script can also send the message to the content script, and vice versa. The content script can also send the message to the background script. So now here, whenever I am clicking that button, it's sending a message to the background script that you please try to get the stream, right? Now I've sent the message chrome.runtime.send message, and here my message type is get stream, right? Now let's go back again to our background file and see the part where we are, rendering the get stream. So here again we have this message handler, and here you have the get stream function, get stream case. So whenever a request comes from content script to get a particular stream, we will run this function handle start recording. What this will do is, so how many of you folks have used of or heard of Navigator APIs? Okay, cool. So most of them most of you know. So basically, to access your camera or microphone or screen uh, streams, you basically have a Navigator API from Chrome, which will basically automatically request for permission from the user, and if the user allows, it will return a promise which will hold your stream. So here we are doing the exact same thing. So for that particular tab, we are trying to do a desktop capture. This is again a Chrome API which Chrome has given for extensions, where you can basically choose a particular desktop media. So we have given them options for screen or window or tab, and then based on whatever option they will select, we will just go and take that stream ID. It will return us a stream ID, and we pass back the stream ID to our content script. So here there is one point that we have to notice. We cannot, there are certain limitations to background script and to content script. Background script cannot get your access to your stream directly because it's a background script, and since after manifest version 3, it's a service worker, so which means it will automatically get deleted after some time, right? It will keep instantiating based on your usage. So there are certain limitations to your background scripts, and there are certain limitations to your content script. So our content script cannot ask for user to basically have the ability to choose a particular screen or tab, to basically select which screen or tab they want to record, but your content script have the ability to get that stream. So that's why we are doing this go back flow, where first your content script sent a message to your background script to know which stream ID it has to record. Then it basically sent back a stream ID back to the content script, and with that stream ID, your content script is taking the stream from and starting the recording. So this is exactly what this did. It basically gave user the option to basically choose any particular screen, either screen or window or tab, and based on that, it basically gave us a stream ID in a callback, and we again sent a message, created a message with the stream ID in the payload, and again passed this message to that particular tab which is trying to record or on which your extension is loaded, right? So here it passed the message, and this message particularly holds the stream ID for which we have to start recording, right? Now, if we look closely, here the message type is start recording. So again, we will have a handler here, which will solve for when a request comes for start recording message type. So here the first use case is same. Whenever whenever a message comes with a type of start recording, we will see if it has a payload or not. If it doesn't has a payload, we will return an error. Otherwise, we call our function handle recording. So our handle recording function will take stream ID from our payload, and here, this is the part where it's trying to get the stream from that uh, particular stream ID. So if you look closely, you can define the media source as desktop or whatever. And here you can see that the media source ID is the stream ID which has come through our payload, right? So now it will try to record that exact particular stream which is coming through our whichever selection the user has made, right? Now, if the stream is not coming, we'll again throw an error, and otherwise we will call our function start, which will basically get this stream and get this local stream. So I'll just show you. So I've created two custom hooks here. Just a second. Yeah. So I've created two custom hooks here. One is use recorder and one is use media stream. The job of use recorder is basically to take that stream and start recording. Have you guys heard of MediaRecorder APIs? So basically, there is two things. One is your stream, and then your stream, you can convert your stream to blob data, right? So basically, to store or to record any sort of stream, your Chrome has given you a MediaRecorder API. What it will do, it will take that stream, and whenever the stream starts coming, that chunks of data starts coming to it, it will basically try to record it and try to store that in forms of small blobs, right? And once your stream stops coming, it will return you a one final blob that will hold your entire recording data. So the idea of this hook is to do the same, that whenever we basically call the start function, it will start taking that stream into account and start, record that start. So consider it like this: you have a current of electricity, right? So basically, now you have a listener, you have a whatever diode or something attached to it that basically checks how much of current is flowing through that wire, and it basically tries to record that data. So this is exactly how MediaRecorder API works. So you have the stream going on. Whenever you attach that particular MediaRecorder, it will try to record all the blob data, all the stream that is going through it, convert those small chunks of blobs into one single blob, and then return that blob. And once we have the blob, we can just generate a URL out of it and show it to our user. The second hook is the use media stream hook, which is nothing but basically it will try to get your camera and your microphone stream and return that to us. I'll just go to their implementation also. Yeah. So use media stream, what it will do, it has a media stream state and a state to basically tell us if your media stream is or your camera stream is coming or not, right? How many of you know about uh, uh, this type of syntax where you return a function in your use effect? So this is basically done to avoid memory leaks in React, where whenever our component unmounts, we want to clear all our states. So this is exactly what we are doing here, that whichever component is calling this particular hook, whenever that unmounts, it automatically tries to stop listening to that stream. And here we have our start stream function. All this does is again do the same, get the navigator media devices API and using our particular constraints, I have defined constraints here where I have turned on echo cancellation, noise suppressions, and for video I have defined the resolution. So using those constraints, it will try to get that particular stream out of user's camera device and microphone device, and basically I am setting that stream to my media stream. And here I have stop stream function, which will try to close all these streams which are coming through this camera and microphone device. And it basically returns all of these functions and states as an object. Then here you have your use recorder function. So this is a little bit tricky, where here the idea of this hook is basically to have a state which will hold all your small chunks of blob data, and then in the end what we are going to do is we are going to convert all this blob data into one single URL, which will be your video, right? So there is one thing here, different types of browsers use different types of encoding format when they try to record a particular blob, right? So here are the major types or the most supported types of encoding formats which most of the browsers support. So we will need this to create a final blob. So if you know about the blob API, you basically have to pass a MIME type to it, which is basically telling your Chrome or your browser to a way to basically concatenate or basically convert them to a single blob, right? So here I have this type state which will basically tell me the supported type of or the encoding formats my particular browser supports, right? Then you have a recorder which is a ref. How many of you are known to the concepts of ref? I think most of you know, right? So refs are, can you, any one of you tell me the difference between ref and a state? Yeah, so basically your state, every time your state changes, your entire component is going to re-render, but it's not the case with refs. So you can consider refs as normal variables, and in any case you don't want your component to re-render whenever you want to store any value or to a particular ref. In that case you will use refs. Refs also have other applications like forwarding refs and stuff, where you can use them. So React is basically React is only one-way binding, right? So parent can send data to the child, but the child cannot control the parent. This is how React works, right? You've always passed data down to the child elements, but it has never been the opposite. You can do that using forwarding refs in React. But anyways, so we have also created an audio context here. So audio context is nothing but creating a context out of all the audio streams that are coming. Assume there are multiple audio streams which are coming, right? Here in our case it's only one, but assume you are trying to record a particular, let's say you are trying to record Google Meet. You have multiple audio streams, or you're trying to create your own application. You're trying to create your own Google Meet, where you will have audio streams coming from all the participants. So in that case, you will have multiple streams of audios. So you can create a context out of it that will hold all of those audio streams, and you can control that as one single object. So this is what audio context is for. And then you have this destination node, which will again be used by this audio context to point to. I'll just quickly go and we'll start from how this hook is going to be used, and we'll accordingly cover the rest of the hook. So this hook gives me a function start, and if I go to my start function, yeah, it basically accepts a stream and a local stream. By stream, my meaning is to, yeah, sure, it's almost done. So stream will take the screen capture stream or the desktop stream which is coming, and local stream is basically the camera and the microphone stream which is coming, right? It will take that stream here, it is basically trying to check which particular type of video encoding is supported in our particular browser. So to do that, I am just Chrome gives you this is supported API MediaRecorder dot is type supported, and I can basically check for each type which I've created in my array to check if that particular if any of them is supported in my browser or not. If none of them is supported, I'm throwing an error. Otherwise, I'm setting my type to that particular type. Now, if I have my local stream coming, which means if I have my camera or audio recording or audio stream coming, in that case, I am creating my audio context, and this audio context will do nothing but just take that stream, get the tracks out of it, and take all the audio stream and put that to our audio context. Next up, here we have our, so recorder is a ref and not a state. So we are doing recorder.current and we are creating a new media recorder. This is exactly where your media recording, or you can say that the diode is attached to your electricity wire. So your stream is there. This is exactly where your media recorder will start listening to this media stream. So this is how you basically combine multiple streams together. So here I am combining all these streams that are coming from my desktop media or the entire screen, and next I have all these streams which are coming through my local streams, right? I'm converting them to one stream, and when all the wires are connected to one particular main wire, we are attaching our diode, which is basically which will basically start listening to that stream and start recording it, right? Here I can define the MIME type, which will use the same type which we calculated just now, that whatever type our browser supported. Based on that, it will try to use this particular MIME type to record our video. And you can also define video bits per second, which is exactly what it names, right? So once you do that, it will start listening to your stream. Now MediaRecorder API gives you couple of functions. One of them is on data available. What this callback will do is whenever any data, it will start to record. So assume it like this. Aakash is here, right? I am the stream. Aakash is listening to me, whatever I am blabbering here, right? So whenever the recording starts, he will start to collect all the words which I am talking here, right? And whenever I can define, so if I'll go here, I have defined 100 as the size here. So whenever the size of my blob exceeds 100 millisecond, it will convert that to one blob, and I will send that blob to my on data available callback, and that callback will store it, right? And I'll keep sending my 100 millisecond chunks to Aakash, and he will keep storing all those small chunks of blob to one particular array, right? So I have this add listener functions. It basically, again, here is our data available listener. So this is exactly what it's doing. It's calling this handle data available function, and on top we had the handle data available. So see, if event is coming here, event has data and the data size is greater than 0, right? In that case, we are just pushing the data to our particular blob, right? So this is nothing but an array. So here we defined our blobs array, right? So it is just pushing small chunks of blob data into our array, right? Now after your add data available function, we also have this event listener. Whenever the diode is detached from the stream, this event listener will run. So whenever you stop your stream recording, it will try to find out the particular duration that has been passed till now, and then it will try to take, so stream is nothing but a combination of tracks, right? So stream can have multiple tracks. It can be a video, it can be audio, right? And multiple streams can also generate one single stream, and any particular stream you can basically record it. So this is how this is organized. So it is trying to get all the tracks in that particular stream, and for each track it is basically going to run track.stop, which will stop that, which will tell the browser to stop listening to those tracks. So it will eventually close your camera stream, close your microphone stream, close your screen capturing stream, right? And then we have the start function, which is nothing, which will be called whenever you basically, whenever your media recorder will start listening to your API. So this is how this hook is structured. So what this hook is doing, this hook is attaching a media recorder to the stream which is coming, taking the audio stream also into the account, and then converting a final media stream out of it. And then to that media stream, it is attaching a media recorder. It is generating 100 milliseconds blobs. And for all the blobs, I'll just show you this part also. Yeah, so we have this function get blobs. What it does is, so we have blob API also from Chrome. You can create blob from multiple chunks of blobs. So it is very similar to stream, right? You can, from multiple streams, you can create one stream. Similarly, from multiple blobs, you can create one single blob. So here I'm doing the same. I'm passing all my blobs to it, and I'm passing the MIME type, and I'm generating a super blob. Here, this function is doing nothing. So if you'll see, if you look more closely, all the video which we are generating, all the data of the video which we are generating has no metadata attached to it. So the use of this function is just to attach metadata to it, so that whenever any player tries to load this video, it already has the information of the duration of the videos, how it can be seeked and all those stuff, right? And then it's returning the super blob, which is nothing but the video. So when I go back to my, just a second. So when I go back to my content script, and I'll go back to the case where your icon is clicked again, right? So if your icon is, just a second. Yeah. So if it's already recording, it will basically call stop and stop stream function. Whenever you call the stop function from that hook, what it will do, it will stop listening to all these streams. Stop stream function will close off the camera and microphone streams, right? And whenever this stops, I will run the get blobs function to generate the blob of video, and I'll call them in a, I'll convert that to a URL and basically open that URL. So I'll just show you get blobs. Yeah. So here I have a use effect which basically listens to the state of my recorder. So whenever my recorder state changes to stop from recording, I am getting the blobs, and if I basically get the blob, I am again passing a message with the URL of my generated blob. So this will essentially convert this to a URL which can be accessed, or you can use this blob data to upload also to your S3 or whatever, right? So it's again passing this as a payload URL to again back to my background script. And what my background script is going to do, it's basically going to open a new tab with this particular URL. That's it. So whenever we basically stop our extension, it automatically takes that blob and opens it in a new tab. So I'll just show you the demo once again. So now whenever I refresh this page, or for all the previous tab, let's again recall everything what we have done so far. So here, whenever this particular window is there, for all the old tabs as well as for all the new tabs, it has already injected, because whenever we installed our extension, it has already injected all the CSS files and the content scripts files required, and background script file is already sitting with our extension. So now it's only a game of message passing APIs, right? Now, whenever I click on this particular icon, I basically run that particular listener function, which basically listens whenever my icon is clicked, and it will send that message to the content script. Content script will load this pop-up, right? And again, whenever your use effect mounts, whenever your component mounts, it will start taking the camera stream and will load this div. So I'll share the public link of this repo. So you can see how I made this draggable and all those things. Those are pretty easy, right? So uh, yeah, so whenever I clicked on the icon, it basically took the camera and microphone stream, rendered that particular div, and then it also opened the pop-up. Now, when I hit start recording, it again sent a message to the background script saying, you please try to find which particular stream ID or which particular screen the user wants to record. Now I, let's say, selected entire screen and I press share. So whatever the stream ID of this particular window will be there, it will send it back to the content script. Now content script will start capturing the stream for this particular stream ID. Now whenever it starts capturing this stream, I'll basically run my start recording function, which will start listening to those particular stream, both the stream from my desktop device and the stream coming from my camera, my audio, right? And then again the same process. Whenever basically I click on the icon again or I click stop recording, it basically generates a video uh, which is generated using all those blobs which I've just explained in my hook. So yeah, this is how you basically create a very small version of a Loom-like extension. If you are eager to learn more about extensions, you can always reach out to me. I'll just share my link tree here. Yeah, so you can just scan this with your phones to connect with me. So we can most probably catch up later for any extensions or React or Next, anything web, right? Cool. Thank you guys.